Well, good day to everybody that's attending another beautiful FMT Consultants webinar. Today we're here to talk about which ERP solution is the one for you. I'm joined, my name is Kevin Dupree, I'm the Senior Director of Business Development for FMT Consultants. I'm joined by a distinguished panel here. Micah Trujillo, who's our SAP Business By Design Practice Manager, Martin Jan, who's our NetSuite Practice Manager, and then Chris Schofield, who's our GP Practice, or Dynamics GP Practice Manager. All of these gentlemen have promised to be polite and not start hitting each other as they battle out for which product is the best solution for you all. So let's just talk real quick about FMT Consultants and what we can do for you and kind of how we do things. We've been in business for over 20 years, so well established. 2 offices, a physical office in Carlsbad, California, which is home to Legoland as well as other things, and then up in the Los Angeles area as well. Our group is comprised of many different practices. The 3 practices that you'll be hearing from today are on the ERP side of things, but a little bit over 80 employees. These are full-time W-2 employees that are working with our clients day in and day out. And then our active roster of clients is a little bit north of 285 that we're servicing on a regular basis. And over the course of the 20-plus years that we've been around, we've done more than 1,000 projects successfully. The way that we do this, the way that we are able to be successful with our clients, really revolves around our core values as a firm. Integrity is super important, and you can kind of see the little underscores underneath each one of these things. We do what we say. If something cannot be done, we're going to let you know up front. Worst thing is to have your expectations mismanaged, because that's typically when we start running into satisfaction issues or things like that. So we want to make sure that you understand, what we're going to do, and then the next piece of this is service excellence and making sure that every client that we work with is satisfied. We're into it for the long haul with all of our customers from a relationship standpoint. We want long-term, mutually beneficial relationships, and so client satisfaction is paramount to us. Collaboration. This is not something where you hire us and we just do the project for you and kind of turn over the keys at the very end. This is something that we work on together. And when we talk about we're all one team, that's a partnership between FMT and you as a customer. The solutions, because we've been doing this for a long time, we've kind of been around the block. We've seen things. We know how to take very complex things and turn them into simple solutions, simple to use, but complex as far as supporting the needs of your business to help you grow and manage that business. And then lastly, everything that we do with passion. We kind of love what we do, and you'll see that throughout today's presentation, and hopefully if you work with us through the implementation process itself. So some of the things that make us unique is what we call the FMT Way. It's a combination of methodology, talent of our people, the expertise that those people bring on in. The full service offering side of things is most folks, while they might be looking for an ERP solution today or just kind of seeing what's on out there, you can't run a business with ERP alone. There's other components to it, e-commerce, customer relationship management, other line of business systems, and we have expertise in most of those areas. And then finally here is this bottom box on the left, the solution and support services. The way that we're able to manage our customers and keep them satisfied, even after the implementation is kind of long said and done, is to have them be able to access our customer care group, which is a post-implementation support team that's open Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 to 9 Eastern, and you guys can figure out the other time zones there. And all these things that I'm talking about here have actually been recognized by people in our industry, things like the best places to work, which is rated based upon the value that we put on all of our employees, service excellence from some other groups, etc. So that's a little bit about us. let's talk about what we're going to really kind of focus on for the rest of the hour here. We're going to take a look at a brief look at each of the solutions here, GP, NetSuite, and SAP Business by Design, and they kind of match those things up on a feature function standpoint, a technology standpoint, etc. And these guys will take you through that. Well, questions and answers will be at the very tail end of this. If you look at your GoToMeeting control panel, you should be able to see a little box that has questions in it. And you can go ahead and type a question in, and we'll either answer them as we're coming along, or we'll have that list ready for the tail end. I'll be monitoring that throughout the session, and if there's just a quick answer, I can kind of type you back a quick answer. Otherwise, we'll take those things at the very end here. So let's talk about why you may be attending today's session. It could be that you've outgrown your current system. QuickBooks was great when you're a small startup, but now your needs have kind of expanded, and so you're starting to look around for something out there. The complexity of your business today is kind of where that's encapsulated. It could be based upon the amount of data that you're processing, the number of transactions that you're processing. The system that you're on is fine for small loads, but when we get into larger transaction volume and so on, you're starting to see an issue with system performance and other types of things. And then, where we see this a lot is around regulatory requirements. So you're thinking about a public offering, and so you're looking for a system that has auditing capabilities, that you can't, kind of alter transactions without a complete audit trail, things that are held in industry standards. Or we have a large piece of our business which is life sciences, and so there's other regulatory issues around, like 21 CFR 11, which deals with electronic signatures and data records and so on. And we know how to navigate those things as we're implementing any one of the three solutions that we're going to be looking at today. So it could also be, outdated, unsupported systems. Clearly, the NetSuite and SAP people have kind of thrown in the jab here that Dynamics GP is a little long in the tooth, a little bit old from a technology standpoint. Or you could be on some unsupported versions. Microsoft is only supporting the last 2 versions, and you might not have invested in an upgrade or something like that. And so you're starting to say, well, should I invest in an upgrade or should I invest in a new system? And we'll take you through that as we're going along. Or as you're looking at an upgrade, you might find the hardware platform that you're on is not something that is going to support a newer version. And so it's a great time to take a fresh look at things and see if moving to the cloud or something like that might be something that you want to take advantage of. Or from an IT compliance standpoint, also the cloud is becoming more and more accepted, more and more kind of just the standard, and you want to divest yourselves of managing IT and infrastructure and everything else. And then, I got a little bit ahead of myself, and that's where kind of this cloud initiative, decreasing the IT footprint, outsourcing as much of that as possible to a publisher or to something like that. We'll address some security concerns around the cloud. If I don't have my data sitting in my closet where my servers are located and so on like that, how do we go ahead and make sure that data is secured? Data integrity, making sure that the system is backed up, that from a disaster recovery standpoint, that we have the capabilities of kind of recovering our business if for some reason we had some sort of catastrophic IT failure. And then also upgrading, and you'll see that kind of being a major difference here between some of the cloud-based solutions like SAP and NetSuite versus GP, where those upgrades are included in the cloud services, and GP is more kind of a conscious choice. And there's no right or wrong answer there. It's just a difference. So let's talk about why these ERP products. Well, the answer is pretty simple from our side of things. These are the 3 that we support. There's clearly others out in the market space. A little tongue-in-cheek, we think that these are superior to anything out there. But These gentlemen here, Chris, Martin, and Micah, will be taking you through that. And with that, I'm going to give the stage over to Chris Schofield, who's going to talk about Dynamics GP. And once again, if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to type those in as we're going along, and we'll try and answer them as we can, or certainly at the very end. Chris?
So thanks, Kevin. Again, this is Chris Schofield. So the slide deck says, what is Microsoft Dynamics GP? You might have done some research already across these products or others. So we want to just kind of highlight, some of the aspects of that specific application. And as we do that, we hit a few bullet points here. Dynamics GP is a business solution from Microsoft that is quick to deploy. It's easy to use. It's the vanilla, if you will, application across the ERP systems. It can be modified, configured to fit almost any business requirement or set of business processes. The product has been around a long time. Like Kevin said, it was the first U.S. accounting package designed to be multi-user and run on Windows way back in 1993. So again, it's got a long history. Improvements have been made since then, obviously since 1993, and upgraded in architecture and redefined, the user interface. And probably the biggest thing is that it is now today much like Microsoft Office. So those of us who use Office, whether it's Outlook or Excel or Word or any of the other Office products, you will see a similarity to the GP application next to that Office application, and integrates seamlessly with that Office as well. Today, GP is delivered through a network of more than 1,500 partners. Partners like us, partners that have unique industry experience and knowledge and local needs. And as Kevin said earlier, we've been doing this for more than 20 years, and so we certainly have that expertise. This product is what FMT was founded on way back when, and we've continued to support our clients ever since. So we talked about its longevity and its history, and this shows just a few examples of as the GP application has transformed itself over the years and the different kind of logos that it's been used. And again, Great Plains was not always a Microsoft product, but now that it is, its most recent version here in the bottom right shows that Microsoft Dynamics GP icon, which I think most of us have been familiar with. Some of the strategies that GP uses, it's a complete business solution for small to mid-sized businesses ERP systems, right? So Kevin mentioned it, there's markets, right? And this isn't Oracle or the big SAP, not to be confused with By Design. This is meant for those folks who are ready to grow with their company. It's an ERP system that will allow you to automate your business process and handle that growth without resources necessarily within the accounting and finance or operations system. It helps people work better and faster and provides that flexible deployment model to work the way each of the users do. Helps customers reduce the cost and complexity of their growing business. Again, that deployment model, that flexibility, the modular way that the application works really sets it apart from an all-encompassing application. Certainly adds increased productivity with a greater user experience and with a customized user experience that's controlled by roles within the application from a security perspective. So the AP person is doing the AP job and the accounts receivable person does the accounts receivable job, and they don't need to bump into each other. There's no need for any kind of contradiction between their roles or the processes that they're doing within the system. Some of the other strategies, we just show kind of the building blocks here and the layers, right? Obviously, it starts with the general ledger, and layered on top of that is some of the core modules of fixed assets, payables, some banking, and some receivables management. And then layered on top of that, some more of the complex modules like purchase order processing, inventory, and sales order processing. And not even in this slide, but shows on top of those or surrounding this would be some more complex like HR and payroll, project accounting, which is job costing, the manufacturing suite that offers some advanced manufacturing capabilities, as well as some field service. All of these are modules that do not all have to be implemented at the same time, but can grow as your business grows. Some additional strategies right, GP allows for a streamlined business process through automation and efficient management tools. We'll see a picture that we'll see in a few slides that'll show kind of that effect, that again layered effect from the core. But automation is a big thing that GP is working towards now and is available in the recent version. Enable ways to work through secure collaboration and shared business processes. Again, this goes to not only you as the customer, the user, but through your suppliers, your customers, and your partners as well. It supports a vibrant partner ecosystem that serves customers in a specific industry and geographies. Kevin spoke to one of our strengths is in the life sciences, and certainly other partners have other strengths in other verticals. But it is an application that can support any vertical or any business requirement that's in a specific industry. As we see here, some of that stacking strategy where it starts with the SQL database at the bottom, right? Has some integration tools, some reporting tools. Certainly the financials are all in there throughout those reporting and integration tools. And then there's those third-party applications that sit on top. There are over 1,500 different third-party applications that work with the Microsoft Dynamics GP application, and those have been built over the years. As Kevin mentioned, GP has been around a long time. Those ISVs, those third-party applications have been around a long time as well. Some of the characteristics of the latest and newest version of Dynamics GP, certainly workflow. It's all about workflow, whether you're in the cloud or in a hosted solution or in a local installation. Every business wants streamlined financial reporting, financial processes, right, and expanded workflows through GP. And the latest version certainly address those issues of our customers today. Single sign-on through integration using Microsoft Azure. We'll talk about cloud versus on-premise in some slides in the future here, but really Microsoft is offering this Azure Active Directory to help this with the seamless Dynamics GP integration with login. So one login, not many, only one. Of course, you know, what would an ERP application be without having the ability to have this be rendered on several different kinds of devices? And this is just an illustration of certainly the computer with the monitor, the tablet, as well as the mobile device. We'll see other slides with the other ERP systems where mobility is certainly a benefit. GP also offers that mobility benefit as well. Some other latest and greatest GP 2015 R2 is a service-based architecture. It allows that lower the cost and time required for customers and partners to create their business solutions. This allows us, the partner, to be able to get you up and running in a shorter period of time. Some glam, some sizzle. Business Analyzer is this companion tablet application that GP also has with the latest and greatest version, and it really allows for that dashboard style C-level component to be able to see data in GP simply with, you know, dashboards and quick metrics. Also a popular thing that is available in the latest and greatest GP 2015 R2 version. And with that, I will pass the controls on to Micah Trujillo, who will talk about the SAP by Design.
Thank you, Chris. The question here is what is SAP Business by Design? And for those of you who are familiar with enterprise applications, when you think of the word SAP, the company SAP, probably the first thing that comes to mind is SAP is a product that Fortune 500 companies run. And there's no denying that SAP has been very successful in the large enterprise space, but a common misconception is that, you know, my business, there's no way I can afford to run my business on SAP. And over the last, well, more recently, SAP has really begun to expand its product offering as it relates to the small and mid-sized enterprise market, and has introduced a number of new products. And one of those products is SAP Business by Design. It was released around 7 years ago, so it's actually released a little farther back, but it's been publicly available for around 7 years to the market. So it's a fairly recent solution But something else that's unique about Business by Design is it's a pure cloud-based ERP system. So this is SAP's first pure cloud ERP system that they designed and built from the ground up. They didn't acquire this from another software developer. They actually built this themselves using all the knowledge that they've gained, over the past 60 years or so in the ERP space, and have built this. And what they did is they took a lot of the kind of tier one, functionality from their large enterprise products from R3 and ECC, and they brought that down into the Business by Design product and made that available to smaller and mid-sized businesses at a cost that they could afford. So some key points here about Business by Design is this: as you can see there in that wheel there, it's a fully integrated solution. It's a very comprehensive solution. Again, it's designed for mid-sized enterprises. We see here that it's recommended for 50 to 500 users. The minimum user count is 20. But we have deployed it for companies with 15 to 20 users. And have deployed it successfully. So that's not a requirement, but it's more of a recommendation as it's geared more towards the mid-size enterprise market. Its industry focuses. It's got very, very strong functionality for project-based service companies, some of the best in the mid-market. Also strong in product distribution. So if you're a wholesale distributor, or a project-based service company, there's a good chance that By Design will be a strong fit for your company. It also supports all the core financials. It's got a field service component, and as well as supports some light manufacturing assembly for both discrete, and it also has functionality to support process manufacturing as well. So as discussed previously, here's an example, kind of just a portfolio of all of SAP's, or a number of SAP's ERP systems here. You can see there at the very top is their top tier, what historically has been known as ECC or R3 is now known as the SAP Business Suite, kind of geared towards your large enterprise Fortune 500 type companies. And at the very bottom there, you see for the smaller type companies, you'll see SAP Business One. And then right there in the middle is where SAP Business by Design lies on the cloud deployment side there, with SAP Business All-in-One being more so for the on-premise deployment for a mid-size company. So this slide right here, it kind of really speaks to the system's comprehensive nature. It obviously has all those financial management components, things like your general ledger, your fixed assets, AP, AR, cash management. It's also got a human resources component as well, where you can manage time, PTO, human resource information for all your personnel. It's got, as I mentioned, very strong project management capabilities, and this is beyond just project accounting. It goes everything into creating project plans, assigning resources to tasks and milestone, and supporting all the billing that comes along with project management as well. It's got a supplier relationship management component as well, so that's managing all your suppliers, being able to initiate purchase requisitions, have those flow through an approval process to create a purchase order, and those being shipped or services delivered through a purchase order, and that generating a supplier invoice. It also has full supply chain management functionality. So this goes everything from warehouse management with labeling, barcode scanning, mobile warehouse devices that are supported through the application, along with things like manufacturing. So as mentioned, it does have the ability to perform manufacturing and distribution, inbound, outbound logistics as well. And then there's a CRM, customer relationship management component of it as well. So you can put in accounts and contacts, leads, opportunities, transfer those to sales orders, and ultimately ship or deliver a service to a customer, and that being transferred to a customer invoice. And then along with that, it's got a whole service and support component to it as well for field service type companies, where you can create a service request. You can add a knowledge-based component as well to assist your service reps in supporting their customers. Those service requests can get transferred to a service order, which can then be sent out to the field service engineers to service the customers, or it also supports in-house repairs as well. And the last piece right there is extension. So I'll be talking about that here in a future slide, but the ability to extend a solution, adapt it, or customize the solution as well. So one of SAP Business by Design's strongest aspects is its ability to support localization. And so when I use the word localization, I'm not simply referring to currency conversion or language support. When SAP claims that it has a product that's localized in a specific country, it means that it can support the legal requirements, the regulatory requirements, the best business practices, the statutory reporting requirements of that country. So it's as if that this system was built to support business in that country. And you can see there's a list of the countries there that are localized currently. There's also some additional localizations that partners have built, but these are the ones that SAP has built themselves. But along with just supporting the legal requirements, best business practices, you also have available translations there at the bottom as well, along with functionality that supports more of an international and global environment, such as Unicode, currency support, and time zone and calendar support. So as I mentioned previously, Business by Design has the ability to adapt the solution, and they've given us the tools that we need to do so. Another common misconception about cloud systems is that you cannot customize them, and that's, at least as it relates to Business by Design, that's not true. By Design has a very strong, what they call SDK, software development kit that was built on top of Microsoft Visual Studio. It allows us to not just adapt the functionality within the system, but we can actually create completely new functionality in the system, new business objects that don't exist, and link those to existing records in the system, such as customers or suppliers or inventory items. It's also very easy to adjust the user interface. So if you want to change a specific field name, or you want to adapt the user interface to move fields around, or even add completely new fields to the UI, that's something that an end user can accomplish, not something that you need a partner to come in and customize. So there's a lot of strength in this software development kit, and we've developed a number of customizations for customers for the Business by Design application. It also, being a cloud-based solution, supports mobility. You can see there with it's got a number of different apps for multiple platforms, both for Android, for iOS, and the Windows Phone as well. So you can see there that there's an example of one of the different applications that allows you to allows your sales reps to manage leads and opportunities and quotes while they're on the road. There's also additional applications around project management. So you have applications focused on giving project managers the ability to manage projects mobilely. And then you can see there from a modern UI, that's the web-based UI you see there on the screenshot. You can see it's got a very attractive modern UI. Going back to Business by Design being a relatively new product, it was built on new technology. So not only is the UI built on new technology, but the database as well. It's built on a HANA in-memory analytics SAP database. So a very strong database, very good performance. So all the technology is new here for the Business by Design application. Another concern about the cloud is cloud security. And I think that we've seen recently that all business sizes, small, medium, large, are having a very difficult time safeguarding their data. We've seen some very large data breaches from large customers, but not just small businesses. But so we're finding more and more that people are beginning to put a lot more trust in cloud security. A company like SAP specializes in data centers and keeping data secure, and there's a good chance that they have stronger compliance standards and stronger security standards than what your company has in-house. And so while there are legitimate concerns about cloud security, again, as I mentioned, there's a good chance that SAP has stronger compliance and security standards and can protect the data. You can see also here that, so if you're a company that's got military contracts, or if you're a life sciences or medical device company that has certain regulatory requirements regarding customer data, the data will be kept within the same jurisdiction that the company is registered in. So if you're a U.S. registered company, the data will never leave the United States. So that's something to be mindful of there as well. So with that said, I'll be turning it over to Martin to go over what is NetSuite.
Thank you, Micah. So NetSuite, again, is a cloud-based ERP application, much like SAP by Design, and I could probably stop right here and just say it's the #1 cloud ERP suite, and we could end the webinar if we'd like to. My associates here probably wouldn't be too fond of that, so we'll go ahead and kind of move forward. But the fact of the matter is, NetSuite does one thing: they do cloud ERP, and that's all they do, and they've always been in the cloud. So there's something to be said for that. Starts with core business. And in core business management here, we're talking about customer relations management, your customer management, your order management, your financials. From that, we can layer on the additional modules, so to speak, again, your full ERP, your warehouse, your inventory, manufacturing, supply chain as well. And then moving over to services resource planning, project management, resource, time and expense, and project accounting. And really that becomes your core of your ERP system. But NetSuite doesn't stop there. We throw the we got these layers of the customers that we need to take into effect. The internal customers here in roles, and additionally the customers, the partners, the vendors, and really making that data visible to them. From a customer center, be able to see customers, see visibility into their data, vendors see visibility into their data, and partners as well. So really, with all this put together, it's a unified system used by 24,000 plus organizations, and it's across 150 countries worldwide. So very diverse user base there. So we talk about design for modern business. One of the big things is, it's easy to learn, intuitive. It's probably the easiest step from QuickBooks into NetSuite. Users are going to be able to navigate quite easily, user adaption very quickly. So just looking at a dashboard homepage here for a particular role, we got lots of color, we got lots of content here, easy KPIs, receivables are up, open cases are up here, quick, easy to see. Flexibility wise, I can drill into those KPIs and I can see detailed reports behind that. And just drilling into it again, this is a web-based, it's a cloud-based system. You don't need to install on your local machine there. And being that it's cloud-based, it's accessible anytime from any device as well. So, here's shown the iPhone app. There's an Android app as well for the application. If you notice here, the KPIs, carry over to your mobile app as well. So the same KPIs you may be looking at in the user interface from your laptop or your desktop computer, you can also see in the mobile device, which is great. On the go, you can see how your team is performing for you, how are the sales bookings, so on and so forth. So from a flexibility perspective, let's take a look at a few different scenarios here. From the end user, they can personalize that dashboard. The dashboard we showed there, that can be personalized down to the user or just to the role. And the users can do that themselves. They can also create custom searches. So they want to look at different data sets differently. They can create those custom searches themselves. From the business analyst point of view, you certainly can expand the capabilities of your system with custom reports, custom fields, custom forms. Very easy to create an additional field if you need to track some additional data. Also, the system supports, out of the box, creating custom records. Maybe you have some data you need to capture that doesn't really fall into the buckets that are predefined within the system. You can also create those. And then hooking things together with custom workflows. NetSuite has a powerful workflow engine that you can make your business processes very easily, from simple things as far as sending email notifications to, after an order ships, I want it to be invoiced automatically. Very simple to do that from a business analyst point of view. And then with the third layer really here to flexibility is taking it to the developer level, where we can develop custom coding scripting within the application to further automate things, further customize the application to meet your business needs, and really add additional value to make the system perform even better for you. Additionally, pulling in external data, we have web services integration that's native functionality, as well as the ability to add in suite apps, which are available from various third-party providers. There's a fairly large network of suite apps. You want to bring in a Concur integration, there's an app for that. So one of the key things everyone talks about is business intelligence, reporting. You want to know what's going on. Certainly in this case, all your data exists in one place, so you can run your business in real time. Every user can have their own set of key metrics they want to look at and take action on those metrics, drill into the detail, see what's going on very easily. So again, just kind of looking at some metrics here, this would be a financial role, kind of out-of-box financial role. What's the things the financial person wants to see? Receivables, payables. What's the top 5 clients here they need to pay attention to? Moving forward here, taking a look at one of the key things is every business these days is doing something with e-commerce. It's an inevitable point of business these days. So considering, we take the core information in NetSuite here, that core business, we layer on top of all the capabilities of the Suite Cloud platform, be able to do customizations, and really layer that outside of commerce, the commerce to the outside world, whether it's the in-store, point of sale, mobile applications, the online business-to-business or business-to-consumer. Really, we can give you that 360 view of customers by taking all those sales channels, bringing them in and funneling down into the NetSuite system. Really, it's one system, that single platform in which to build upon. So from a NetSuite perspective, we like to say it just works. It's secure, it's reliable. They've got the world-class security of, they've been audited for security of your data in the cloud. Any point in any time you can look and see what the system's current status is, looking at what their uptime is. You can track that yourself. Just click in and see system.status.netsuite.com, I think is the URL. And literally you can see the history there and see what's going on. Have there been any issues? What are they doing about those issues in the particular data center that you're working in? These are all the North American data centers shown here. So we'll move on next to talk about deployment options. I'm going to turn this over to Chris Schofield.
Thanks, Martin. So again, the goal of this webinar is to give you all a kind of sense of the applications that we support and implement. But we also, in addition to that, want to be able to show you or give you some information about the deployment options and whether or not your solution should be installed on-premise or whether it should be hosted or in the cloud. And hosted is a kind of a hybrid, and there are certainly varying degrees of the word hosted with regards to the application versus the cloud, and we'll go over some of those now. So what we're going to do is look at each one of those. We'll start with the on-premise and start with some of the benefits. And again, on-premise can be a number of things. It can be the servers located in your office, in a controlled environment. It could be in a data center. But the point is it is local installations of the application under your control, right? You have control over it. You may be in a regulatory industry and require strict change management, but it's your data, your control. You also, in their control, you choose when you upgrade, right? Many of the products, on-premise products, have a normal upgrade plan or strategy, but every client's strategy can be different. With that data being under your control, you have certainly the availability to have enhanced reporting capabilities through SQL, through many of the reporting tools that are housed on and in that data center. Some of the drawbacks, though, is certainly you need an IT staff to manage that infrastructure. you need, or an outsourced IT staff like FMT or other providers. That reporting, yeah, it can even do the TPS reports. That'd be great. From a cloud perspective, some of the benefits certainly are unlimited storage, right? This diagram of the infinity symbol in the cloud shows you that, right? Your data can be accessed from anywhere, anytime, certainly when mobility is the requirement. And again, no need to maintain costly servers. Certainly the application, as Martin and Mike had said, can be accessed through any sort of tablet and or mobile device, and certainly no need to have that IT infrastructure or room of servers, as the last picture shows. Some of the drawbacks, though, could be very limited reporting options. Each of SAP by Design as well as NetSuite have reporting, certainly, but some of that reporting can be limited to what the solution provider has offered or allows, and certainly with a cloud offering, that limitation does exist. Next, we're going to talk about all-in-one versus best of breed, and Micah will take us through those slides.
Similar to what Chris had mentioned about on-prem versus hosted versus cloud, I don't think that there's one that's any necessarily better than the other as we speak of all-in-one, an all-in-one system versus kind of purchasing a number of best-of-breed systems. I think it just really depends on your industry, your company, your business requirements. So we're going to go through the pros and cons of both approaches, and we're going to start here with best-of-breed. So usually, kind of in a best-of-breed scenario, you're going to choose your core accounting system, and that core accounting system will mostly be focused on supporting, things related to your general ledger, your AP, your AR, your fixed assets, and your cash management. And then you're going to surround that with best-of-breed applications that are specific to your industry or your business. So here's an example of a number of best-of-breed applications kind of surrounding this core accounting system. And I think maybe one of the best ways of describing this is using a story. And recently I did an assessment for a medical device company who was considering a new ERP system. And they were the manufacturer of their medical device, so they needed a system that could support their manufacturing requirements. They also distributed and shipped their medical device to the end consumer along with some distributors internationally, so they needed a warehouse management system to manage the logistics. And then along with that, they also were an R&D company, so they did their R&D, so they needed a project management solution to manage all the costs associated with developing new products. They were selling a number of what they call their consumables for their medical device on an e-commerce platform, so they needed an e-commerce piece. They had a direct sales team, so they needed a CRM as well. Because they're a medical device manufacturer, their quality is of utmost importance, so they needed a good, solid quality assurance application. Along with field service, they had in-house field service engineers that needed to service the devices, and so they needed a field service application as well. And some of the other things that go along with the accounting, whether it be requisition management or expense reporting there with Concur, they also had some requirements there internally. And again, being a device manufacturer, they needed a product lifecycle management system there. And I used Arena as an example of one. But here's a scenario where you have a company that is kind of faced with a decision whether they purchase a system that supports the majority of these requirements, or they kind of purchase a core accounting system and they buy best-of-breed solutions to surround it. And so, one of the, I would say, drawbacks of going with the best-of-breed approach is that anytime you purchase, and we're going to use the CRM system as an example here, if you purchase a separate CRM system, then now is the cost of integrating certain data types to your core accounting system. So an example where if I had a lead in my CRM system that became an opportunity and then got ready and materialized into an actual order, I would then have to either manually enter the customer information into my core accounting system so that the order can be processed and invoiced, or I would have to build an integration between my CRM system and my core accounting system that would move the customer data over, would move the order over, would link that back to the original opportunity to support reporting requirements. And so there's a cost associated with not just building the initial integration, but then supporting the maintenance of that integration over time. So as you either upgrade your CRM system or your core accounting system, you usually then have to also take into account altering or upgrading the integration as well to support the upgraded version. All right, so there's always that cost associated with the integration. Along with that, there's a separate set of costs associated with the CRM application. So now you're paying for licenses for a CRM application and licensing for your core accounting system. Two different sets of licensing. There's also training requirements. Now you're having to train your users on two different user interfaces. And as I mentioned before, upgrades. You're now having to upgrade and support two different applications. So if you take that one example of CRM and you have the requirement that I kind of had mentioned before in that assessment story, you can see that the costs have the potential of exploding here. Where now you're managing 5 to 10 different best-of-breed applications, all the licensing associated with them, along with integration points. And so it can become a very costly endeavor here. Some of the benefits, though, talking about best of breeds, is you usually get the best functionality with a best of breed solution, or you get industry-specific functionality. So many of these all-in-one ERP systems, they don't have some of the industry-specific functionality that a best of breed solution would. So there may be times in which it's simply not an option. You have to purchase a best of breed solution to support your business requirements. So just wanted to provide some information here and help you that if you're in this position where you're evaluating a new ERP system, this is definitely something to keep in mind and consider. Another option is an all-in-one system, and me being the SAP Business by Design practice manager, I'm obviously going to take this opportunity to have SAP right there in the middle as an example of an all-in-one system. And many times an all-in-one system won't support every single business requirement. There still may be the need to purchase one, maybe two best-of-breed solutions, but for the most part, it's going to satisfy the majority of your requirements. And so some of the benefits here of choosing an all-in-one approach is that you don't have to piece together a solution, right? So you're not having to take this application, integrate it to that, bring certain pieces of data. This isn't just help from an integration standpoint, but even from a reporting standpoint, right? You're not having to join different data sources or create a data warehouse or you're having to pull data from multiple applications. With an all-in-one solution, all your data is in one location and you can easily join it and produce the reports that are required. There's also things like what you call a document chain or a document flow where, if I have a lead that materializes into an opportunity, which materializes into an order, which gets shipped through a shipment transaction and invoiced, with an all-in-one system, there's usually a document chain that's kept together, so you can always say for that invoice, what was the journal entry was posted, what was the originating opportunity it came from, and that is definitely a benefit of an all-in-one solution is the data transparency that you get. Another benefit is easier to upgrade, right? So instead of having to upgrade multiple systems, you're only focused on upgrading one system, and that definitely it makes the upgrade path much less costly. As far as drawbacks, licensing typically is more costly for an all-in-one system, but you also have to factor in all the costs associated with that best-of-breed approach that I mentioned previously. So to do that, this is going to take us to our next total cost of ownership presentation here by Martin. So I'll turn it over to Martin.
Thanks, Micah. So ultimately, this is usually a big key factor in any decision of a new ERP system. It's a major investment either way you look at it. So, realistically here, we're going to take a look at kind of a course comparison between how we would compare total cost of ownership between a cloud solution and an on-premise. So just looking at a 5-year swipe of time here, and obviously you could extend this over a longer period of time, do the same analysis here. So we looked at year 1 for an on-premise solution. So year 1, there's a lot of factors to be included here. We've got the software itself and the underlying system software. So if we're installing something that requires a Windows Server platform, you've got the Windows Server licenses, the SQL licenses. If you're doing on-premise, you've got the hardware. You've got annual maintenance on both of those, your software agreement as well as your hardware support agreement. Add to that, you're going to have IT support, right? You've got to support that hardware. You're going to have facilities. I like to take whether it's the UPS system, the battery backups, the generators, the air conditioning, all that stuff you got to think about keeping that running. So if we take a look at on-premise over the course of time, year 2, you're still going to have a lot of those costs. You'll have your annual maintenance agreements, that sort of thing. You're still going to have to pay that IT guy to maintain that server, or the IT team to maintain that set of servers. So the cost doesn't go away. Year 3, you're going to have those same costs again. Plus, you may have a minor version upgrade. New releases, some functionality you want to do, so you're going to have some costs associated with an upgrade. Year 4, again, those standard IT. Keep that stuff running. Year 5, you're probably going to be into a major upgrade at that point, maybe replacing some hardware, upgrading hardware. So that may be a little costly year 5 expenditure. Now, on the cloud side, taking out implementation services out of the picture of this entirely, realistically, cloud services, it's pretty easy. You've got your license agreement, your subscription. It's year over year. It's the same. It's planned. There's no variability to that. Essentially here, so certainly when you add these all up and look over a quarter of time, it's kind of it can add some light on the situation. So looking at year 1 is probably not a good way to look at this. You really got to look at it over a course of time. So what we can do to help you with this is we can help estimate your total cost of ownership. We help out clients who are really kind of on the edge about does it make sense to go to the cloud? Does it make sense to stay on-premise? Sometimes it gets a little more complicated when we take an on-premise solution to a hosted environment. It adds an extra layer of complication to that. So we can help you with that calculation, help take things into account with some tools that we can share with you. So this is just an example of one such report we put together for a client here, looking at a 3-year total cost of ownership, bring their on-premise solution to, in this case, a NetSuite cloud solution. And the slices of data that we throw on top of there, to really, try and accurately represent, the cost of your software, your subscription, the capital cost, as well as cost of upgrades, so on and so forth. And really, you need to take all those things into account to get an accurate picture of true total cost of ownership. So if you'd like information on that, we can certainly assist you with that. And put together one that's really geared towards your business, where you can control the details that go into this report.
I guess we're at the very tail end. We have a couple questions that have been posed. I've answered one of them, but the first question, and I'll let you guys chime on in, is the systems that you guys have talked about, GP, NetSuite, SAP. Do they have capability to handle invoice approval workflow, to be able to view the invoice online without having to use a third party to route an invoice for approval, etc.?
They do. I mean, this is Micah speaking for SAP. You do have the ability to view the invoice online. You can pull up a PDF copy of the invoice. It also has the ability, so if there's multiple cost centers or departments impacted in the invoice, to split the approval process so that it shoots out multiple approval steps for all the individual department heads to review that one invoice. So yes, it does have the ability to review the approval online and see what expenses that you need to approve for your specific department.
From a GP perspective, yeah, within the latest greatest of GP R2, there's a workflow functionality which also allows you to approve AP invoices either individually one at a time or by batch, and several different filters or workflow configuration options are available either by department or by cost center or by manager, any other characteristics associated with the application.
Martin?
So likewise with NetSuite, there's native workflow capabilities and native approval functionality that you can enable or disable depending on your business needs relative to AP invoice approval. So very straightforward.
So Monica, hopefully that answered your question. We can certainly follow up with you, as is our standard practice after the end of this webinar, to see if there's any other questions you have with regards to that. The next question here is, do any of the systems have a dual general ledger capability to be able to have accrual financials and cash financials? So that is, reconciling transactions between the two, between cash and accrual or GAAP, and be able to run those things at the exact same time.
So this is Chris from GP's perspective. The Microsoft application itself out of the box does not, but again, as we talked about, a myriad of third-party products that are offered throughout the Microsoft Dynamics industry. There are third-party providers that are add-ons, if you will, to the general ledger that do allow you to maintain a cash as well as an accrual general ledger system.
Yeah, the By Design product, to the best of my knowledge, does support multiple ledgers. So it has, ability to support country-specific ledgers or IFRS ledger or GAAP ledger. I don't know whether that supports both a cash basis as well as accrual basis accounting method. We would have to get back to you and let you know on that. But it does have the ability to support multiple ledgers. I just have to see if it's specific to cash basis versus accrual basis accounting.
From a NetSuite perspective, the system at its core is an accrual-based system. It does give you the ability to essentially check a box to allow you to also select your reporting to be on a cash basis.
Great. David just asked a question. What's the cost to buy NetSuite versus Dynamics GP? And I think it's, and you even say there, David, of give us a range. The software side of things on the Microsoft side is fairly straightforward in that it's what they call the starter pack. It's a collection of modules, all the core financials, distribution modules, etc. That's $5,000 one-time cost and includes 3 full users. Additional users thereafter are $3,000 per user, and all of those things are one-time costs. You pay it once and you own the licenses for it. There is an annual maintenance fee, which is 18% of the total list price of software. On the NetSuite side of things, you can really look at this as, it's $1,000 a month for kind of the base foundation, and then $99 per user per month there. Those are all just list prices. Depending on the time of year, etc. There might be some discounts available from the publishers that might be running a sales promotion or something like that. From an implementation standpoint side of things, these things I think are much even as far as the cost of implementation services. I think it ranges based upon the amount of functionality that somebody needs. But if we just take, for an example here to answer David's question, core financials, so general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, banking, and so on, some distribution components, order management, inventory, purchasing. What does that look like on an average implementation?
So from a GP perspective, again, as Kevin said, the services are relatively the same with regards to each of the ERPs. It's really the software that becomes the difference. So what Kevin described is anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 from a services perspective. Again, the cost of the services really drills down to the specific functionality that the client is looking for. As an example, adding an additional module, say maybe the project accounting module in GP, could substantially increase that cost from an implementation, configuration, and services perspective. But based on the core, it's about that.
And Martin, do you concur that it's about kind of the same range?
We'd end up in about the same range. One of the things in NetSuite is there's a lot more core functionality per se in NetSuite. So you may end up ultimately seeing the product and saying, well, that would really work great for my business. We didn't think we needed this, but this is great functionality. So we make those trade-offs during the implementation project, and get everything we can in that initial phase.
Okay. Another question here is, what are the options for bank reconciliation for NetSuite?
So NetSuite, you can download standard QuickBooks file formats, like QIF, I believe it is. You can download right into there. If you if you're used to using the Nolan product, that sort of thing, it's an industry accepted product. There is a Nolan add-on for NetSuite, but it does have standard bank reconciliation functionality where you can download your statements right into the system.
All right. Well, that's actually all the questions that we have listed out here, and it's actually all the time that we have. We're 1 minute over. We appreciate everybody's attendance today. As I said before, we'll follow up with each and every one of you to find out if there's any needs that you might have, and also to get some ideas of some of the other things that you might want to be seeing from us in future webinars. With that, I wish you all a good day.